Hi, I'm Mrs. Wilson, and I'm one of the dyslexia therapists at North Elementary. And I'm going to read you a book. And when decided to pick a book, I wanted to pick one that I didn't think anybody knew, so that it would be a new story for you. So I picked the book Jake O'Shaughnessy. And obviously, Jake is a green seagull. And it's written by Stephen Cosgrove and illustrated by Robin James. And I love Stephen Cosgrove's book. I have about 20 of them, and they all have a moral at the end of them. And a moral is something that you learn that teaches you a lesson about what you read about in the book. Okay, so we have Jake O'Shaughnessy by Stephen Cosgrove. The wind blows free in Ireland. It whistles from the ocean and soars over the Emerald Isle. Birds of all sorts from all over the world flock there to take advantage of the winging winds. There are swallows, eagles, owls, and a whole lot of seagulls. 1,000 or more birds sit on the edge of the cliff that overlook the Atlantic Ocean. They wait for just the right breeze to send them soaring high into the sky with no effort whatsoever. The seagulls, like the rest of the birds, would constantly take wing just for the fun of flying. All the seagulls, that is, except a strange-looking green Irish seagull by the name of Jake O'Shaughnessy. There's Jake. Okay. No, it wasn't that Jake didn't want to fly. Oh, he wanted to, but he didn't believe he could fly. And because he didn't believe, he couldn't. Jake would flap his wings and try desperately to catch a breeze. As he would begin to lift from the air, flapping his wings furiously, he would think, I don't think I can fly. In fact, I can't. With that, he would fall to the ground with a heavy crash, usually losing 8 to 10 feathers in the process. As Jake O'Shaughnessy was not a seagull to give up easily, though, he tried every trick there was in the Seagull Flying Manual, but nothing would work. Out of desperation, he grabbed hold of the tail of a kite, and he soared 100 feet up into the air. Then, when the kite reached the end of the string, he let go. And for a moment, it looked like he really might make it. He was flapping his wings magnificently. But then, as always, Jake began thinking he couldn't fly. He stopped flapping his wings. Down he fell, twisting and turning, with feathers flowing gently behind him into the ocean below. With all of his falling and jumping off cliffs, Jake was becoming an absolute menace in the sky. All the birds were constantly looking this way and that in fear of being hit by a falling green seagull. In desperation, the birds of Ireland held a secret meeting. We have to do something about Jake, shouted the swallows. Sure, croaked the crows, but what can we do? They thought, and they thought, and finally a wise old owl stepped forward, and he said, probably I should teach Jake O'Shaughnessy the secret of the cliffs of County Court. They stopped and gazed at the cliffs above them. Solemnly, they agreed that the secret held the only hope of Jake learning to fly. While the other birds cheered him on, the wise old owl flew off to find Jake. Now, finding Jake had never been a difficult task for any of the birds of Ireland. All they had to do was look in the water at the bottom of the cliff, and there Jake would be, floundering in the ocean. Today was no exception. The wise old owl waited patiently on the shore for Jake to swim. "Jake," said the owl, "do you really want to learn to fly?" Jake thought for a moment, and then he answered quickly, "Oh, yes, I'm tired of falling, and I've had 5 colds already this year from swimming in the cold ocean." What I'm about to tell you," said the owl, "is the location of the secret of the cliffs of County Court. And with that secret, you can learn to fly." The owl solemnly turned and pointed to the top of the cliff towering above them. "The secret, Jake, is at the top. When you find it, you'll never have a problem flying again." Jake took a long look up at the cliff. "But how will I get way up there?" he asked. "I can barely fly downwards, so how could I possibly fly up?" "You must do that yourself," said the owl, who flew off to join the other feathered spectators waiting at the top of the cliff. They're all up there waiting on him. Jake took a couple of deep breaths of fresh air. He gulped once and began flapping his wings in hopes of flying to the top. His flapping came to a sudden stop when he once again thought, "Oh, I don't believe I can do it." And with that, he fell back down with a clunk to the beach below. "I'll never get to the top by flying because I know I can't fly. But I know how to get to the top without flying." So Jake scurried around looking for the things that would set his plan in motion. What do you think he's going to use to get up there? He found a long length of old vine hanging from the rocks. Then he searched the beach until he found an old fish hook. Carefully, he fastened it to the end of his vine rope, and finally, with the help of 2 starfish that he strapped to his feet, he was ready to climb the cliffs. Jake carefully threw the fish hook high into the rocks, and when it was secure, he began pulling himself up. With the starfish on his feet, he had excellent traction. Step by step, he came closer to the secret of the cliffs of County Court. High above him and all around him, he could hear his cheering section urging him onward, upward. Finally, after many hours of hand climbing, Jake O'Shaughnessy reached the top of the cliffs of County Court. His friends shouted and cheered as he stood there, panting and puffing after his long journey. "I'm at the top," puffed Jake, "but where's the secret?" The birds shouted it in unison. "It's there, written on the rock." Jake, for the first time, noticed that there was a huge boulder right in front of him, and carved on the rock was this message: "If you find yourself not believing in anything you do, just remember lots of trying will bring confidence to you." Jake thought, "I wonder if that could be my problem. Maybe I can fly if I have confidence in what I'm doing. That's it. I only need to believe in myself, and then I can fly." Jake carefully unfolded his wings, flapped them once or twice, and found the confidence to bolster his courage. "I know I can do it. I know I can fly. I really and truly believe in myself." And with that, his wings began to pound, and Jake, as gracefully as any other Irish bird, lifted above the ground and high into the sky. Jake O'Shaughnessy was totally confident now. He believed in himself. and because he believed he could fly. Jake was so happy he felt he could fly without falling for the rest of his life. So, here's our moral. If you're deep in trouble and don't believe in what you do, just remember Jake O'Shaughnessy and confidence will come to you. The story would have ended happily except for one small problem. What do you think that problem is? Jake O'Shaughnessy never learned how to land.